Good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. Hope you're doing all right. So let's run the algorithm first, right here, and see what that outputs. So I'm going to have a quick look at the TET Capital report right here, and then get back to you guys on the trades that I would like to take. So guys, I found two trades that interest me today. We have this EURUSD trade and we have this AUD NZD trade right here. Now, of course, I'm going to have a further TP. I'm going to discuss that in a second. Just let's start with the EURUSD trade first. So right here, as you can see, guys, I'm selling EURUSD right now through to the downside for the following reasons. Now, if you look at the TET Capital report right here and we look at EURUSD specifically, right there, where's EURUSD? Right here, we can see that EURUSD is bullish from an investor horizon. However, it is bearish from a day trading horizon, targeting the 1.04491 level. So let's actually look at what's happening right here on EURUSD from the investor horizon and from the day trading horizon. Now, from the investment horizon right here, we can see that EURUSD right now just drove 3 times through to the downside right here. 1, 2, 3. To the downside right there, breaking all these levels right there through to the downside. And therefore, usually after a 3 drives through to the downside, they expect price to start reversing from that 3 drives, because every time the market drives down, there's a lot of sellers that enter the market. So sellers entered here, then entered there, then entered there as market is driving through to the downside. So there's a lot of sellers in this market, which for me would mean then that sellers are being accumulated into this price. So this is a seller's trap, and the market is about to start going through to the upside from there, to start retracing from there. Now, as I go to a lower time frame, like the daily right here, we can see that the market, even right now, so after diving through to the downside right here, we have a mini 3 drives right here as well. 1, 2, and 3 through to the downside. And right there, we had these bottoms where a lot of sellers entered after these bottoms were broken. Now, on top of all this, as we are pushing up right now through to the upside, we're creating this huge resistance line right there around the 1.05 level. And with this huge resistance line right there, there's a lot of sellers also entering price right here. So there's a lot of sellers in this market, and therefore I believe that price could possibly push through to the upside and target these highs next, at least. Now, this is my next target for EURUSD according to the investor horizon. Now, as I go to a day trading horizon, so to a 2 hours perspective, for example, or 1 hour, whatever it might be, we can see that on the 2 hours right here, the market created a huge trend line through to the downside. And it was seen in a better manner on the 30 minutes right there. You can see it right here. We created this huge trend line through to the downside. Eventually, we pushed up into that trend line, and therefore a lot of buyers have entered price right here as we started pushing through to the upside. So buyers right here entered as soon as we broke this huge trend line through to the upside. Then we created tops right here, and this is also more visible on the 30 minutes time frame. Let's look at the 30 minutes time frame. We created massive tops right here, so a big resistance line right there that was broken through to the upside into what? Into the 1.05 psychological level right here. Look at this, 1.05 right there, right about here. So 1.05, we broke it heavily through to the upside, and a lot of people after the break of such a huge psychological level will be placing buy orders because they believe that EURUSD is just going to continue rocketing through to the upside. The market then came down after all these buyers entered right here. The market came down and started creating a support line right there, where also a lot of buyers have entered this price right here. Buyers, buyers, buyers. So we're trapping buyers in this price. You can see that there's also a trend line right here going through to the upside. A lot of buyers were entering at this price. And right now, we're creating another trend line through to the upside right here. Lots of buyers entering at this price. And also, right now, look at how many confluences do we have today. We're creating this huge support line right here as well, where a lot of buyers are also entering. And this push through to the upside right now is merely convincing buyers that price is going to be pushing through to the upside. And therefore, I'm going to be selling this market down because of the existence of a lot of buyers inside it. So I believe they're all being trapped and they're going to be manipulated. And therefore, I'm going to be selling price through to the downside right here into at least these areas right there. Now, at the 1.04500 right there, I might start managing this trade right below this area. However, I do expect market to make it all the way down into this 1.04250 at least, this area right here. So I do expect price to come down all the way here. So that's it for your USD. This is how I'm looking at it. As you can see, I have somewhat of a large stop loss right here because I will be cautious of the market coming back and taking out this 1.05250 level right there. This is a huge psychological level as well, and then pushing through to the downside. Let's see how that goes. So for AUD and ZD, let's go to AUD and ZD right here. So let's have a look. So I'm selling AUD and ZD right now through to the downside as well, as you can see here, because of the following reasons. Now, if you look at the TET Capital report right here for AUD and ZD, let's go down to AUD and ZD. We can see that AUD and ZD is bullish from an investor horizon right here. It is bearish from a swing horizon, and it is bearish from a day trading horizon. Now, let's analyze the investor horizon first. If I look at the daily, at the weekly, at the 3 days, what can we see right here? We can see that price just pushed massively into all of these tops right here, tops above here, tops above there, and market has just pushed heavily into this price right there, and therefore a lot of buyers were entering this price as soon as we pushed through to the upside. The market then came down and started creating very slow price through to the upside right here. So right now we're creating this trend line, for example, going up. We're creating these bottoms. Look at these huge bottoms right here. This huge area through to the downside. So lots of buyers entering right here as well. And also, we just on a more micro time frame, and we will see it from the day trading and swing horizon, we can see that market right here just also broke through to the upside right here heavily. Right there. And we can see it clearly on the 6 hours, for example. You can see on the 6 hours right here, we just broke this huge area through to the upside right here. So a lot of buyers are entering around this price right here as soon as we broke through to the upside. On top of all this, we were creating tops right there. So there was a lot of sellers in this market right here. And then we wicked into them, convincing panic buyers to enter right here as soon as they saw a huge bullish candlestick being printed through to the upside right there. So there's a lot of buyers in this market, and therefore we can see that price is going down right now because we just accumulated buyers and we're reversing as a result. Now, as we look, the thing with this AUD and ZD trade, the thing that I hate most is that if you look at the bearishness, and if we go back to the TET Capital report, we can see that the target for the swing bearishness right here, and even the day trading bearishness, is 1.10478. If I copy this price and I come here to this level, and I just paste it right there, it's this target, and therefore we're getting very close, and therefore I don't have much room for my trade to run because I'm usually more careful. So if the price is targeting this low, I would usually just target the body. So I'm just careful with my trades. And therefore, what am I going to be doing here? If I look at the 30 minutes right there, the first thing that I'm going to be doing is as soon as we hit this level right there, I'm going to start managing this trade. So what I'm going to be doing right here is as soon as we hit this area right here, as I showed you on the 6 hours, I'm going to start managing this trade. So I'm going to start taking partials and start seeing how the rest of that trade goes. You can notice as well that for this trade, I have a huge stop loss for this trade. And the reason for that is if I look at the 30 minutes perspective right now, I can see that right here, as soon as we broke through to the downside, lots of sellers have entered. So we're also accumulating sellers in this price, and then we accumulated buyers as soon as we broke through to the upside right here. So right here was the buyer's trap. So we're kind of stuck between a seller's trap and a buyer's trap right now on the 30 minutes. And therefore, I believe that a confirmation that we're going through to the downside would be breaking these highs right now. If we break above these highs and we reach up into this 1.11 area almost right here, almost this 1.11 psychological level, then we get a confirmation that we're trapping more buyers into this price right here. And therefore, I can see that happening. Right now, we can see that there's a trend line being created through to the downside. Therefore, lots of buyers are also buying this price right here through to the downside. So I can see that market will break these highs right here to convince more buyers to enter and then melt down. However, I'm taking the trade right here, and instead of just waiting for this instrument to break through to the upside, I'm going to just take this trade right here and just place my stop loss just above these levels. And therefore, I'm going to protect myself by placing my stop loss above here, and therefore we can break these highs, no problem, tap into this green line right there, and then maybe start going through to the downside, no problem. I'll be protected with my stop loss, and then I will have this area to protect my partials because this bearishness right here will end right there from a day trading and swing trading perspective. Look at this look at this trap right here. Look at this. Tops and then trap through to the upside, and then market is melting down. And therefore, I do believe we're targeting these lows, as you can see, these bottoms right here. However, as I said, I usually place it at the body, and I'm careful with placing it at the wick, because I believe that's just like being very hopeful that it will make it to the full extension of the move. And therefore, I'm going to be managing this trade as soon as we hit this green line, taking partials and seeing how the rest goes. Let's see how that trade goes as well. So let's check what other trades can we enter today. Today is Thursday, 27 February. So let's see if we can find any other trades that we can capitalize on for the day. So I just scoured the TET Capital report, and the best trade that I could find for the day is this AUD USD trade right now, and therefore this is the only trade that I'm going to be taking for the day for Thursday, 27 February. So what are we doing right here? Now, first of all, I'm selling AUD USD right now through to the downside for the following reasons. Now, as we look at the TET Capital report right here, let's go to the TET Capital report. We can see that AUD USD right there is neutral from an investor horizon. However, it is bearish from a swing horizon, targeting this 0.62347 level. So I'm going to copy this level, and I'm going to go to the 6 hours right here, and we're going to have a look at the target price, and we're going to have a look at what's happening right there. So if I just take this and paste the price inside it, we can see that we are targeting these lows through to the downside, this support line right here through to the downside. You can see that the way this bias was created was through the break of massive resistance lines through to the upside right here. As you can see, we created this huge resistance line right here, then we broke it with momentum through to the upside. Lots of buyers entered around this level right there. Then we created this resistance line right here, we broke it with momentum through to the upside. Lots of buyers were entering right there as well. Now, as we look at price right here, we can see that the market just broke above this huge psychological level, this 0.64000 psychological level through to the upside. Therefore, also lots of buyers were entering up there at the break of that huge psychological level. Then the market started melting down. So we just hit our first target for this meltdown, which is this support line right there. And then we continued going down. And in my opinion, we're seeking the next level of liquidity, which would be these lows right there, this support line right here. And on top of all this, if I look at, for example, the 8 hours, look, for example, at the 8 hours perspective, we can see that the market created a 3 drives through to the upside. 1, 2, and 3 drives through to the upside. Now, usually after 3 drives through to the upside, with every drive through to the upside, buyers are entering the market. And therefore, usually after a 3 drives through to the upside or through to the downside, I expect the market to reverse and take out the beginning of that drive. And therefore, I'm expecting right now the market to reverse and take out the beginning of that drive. However, I'm only going to be targeting half of it, which is the support line right there, according to the TET Capital report, and we'll see how that goes. Now, on the 30 minutes time frame, the main thing that I focused today on for my entry right here is the fact that we just grabbed this huge psychological level right here, as you can see, 0.63000 right there, and then pushed through in the opposite direction right there. In my opinion, this right here, this push with momentum through to the upside, is an indication that we're going to reverse through to the upside after grabbing the 0.63 psychological level. However, instead of doing that, we just continued melting down. So this is something that I call a fake reversal right here, when the market give us the impression that, okay, right now I just liquidated through to the downside, I just took these bottoms right here through to the downside, and right now I'm about to reverse through to the upside. Lots of traders are going to be looking at this reversal right here and claiming that the market has just liquidated to the downside and is now reversing through to the upside. Now, after the market does that, if it's a fake reversal, then it fails through to the downside, and therefore what I look at next, I look at targeting the next level of liquidity. So this reversal failed right here. Why did it fail? Because we're seeking the next level of liquidity through to the downside. Now, what is the next level of liquidity? If I zoom out enough, you can see that the next low that is created on this chart is this low right here. And therefore, we could be going down all the way right now into this 0.62750 level right there, this level first, where I would start managing this trade, taking partials and seeing how the rest goes. And then we could be targeting the 0.62500 level right there. That is going to be also my next target. You know what? What I'm going to do for this position is, since I'm doing good for the month right now, I'm not going to take any partials for this trade. I'm just going to let it run. So, you know what? Fuck the partials. I'm just going to let it go into this 0.62500 level. So I either get my full 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio right now, or I don't, simply. So that's it for today. 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio trade for AUD USD. Let's see how that goes. So let's have a look at the trades that we ended up taking, what happened with them, and therefore how we managed them, what we could have done better, everything. Let's discuss everything. So first of all, I promised you to do the investor horizon on AUD NZD because I didn't really talk about it when I first explained the trade. I just talked about the bearishness that existed on that instrument. However, I didn't talk about the bullishness that existed on the instrument. We saw from the TET Capital report that the investor horizon is bullish. Now right here, if we go to the daily, for example, we can see, which was the thing that the algorithm is looking at, this 1.10 psychological level, this huge support line right here, was grabbed through to the downside. We broke it through to the downside. Lots of sellers entered this price right here. And therefore, from the investor horizon, we also had this push 1, 2, and 3 drives through to the downside, and therefore the algorithm was seeing the investor horizon as bullish. However, as we looked at the swing horizon, at the day trading horizon, which is a more micro time frame, we saw that we can receive some bearishness on it right here into these levels. Now on the 30 minutes, we previously discussed taking partials around this area right here. Why? Because the swing horizon bearishness would end as soon as we tap into these lows. The swing and day trading bearishness would end as soon as we tap into this low right here. Now, when we tap this low and this bearishness ends, of course, we should take partials. But on top of it, which is something I didn't pay attention to, now that I look at this trade, I should have trailed my SL to BE as soon as we tap this area. Why? Because as soon as this bearishness ends, we have the investor horizon bullishness. And therefore, this bullishness will resume, the bearishness will end, and therefore from here, we are bullish. As soon as we tap this low right there, we are bullish. And therefore, as a result of becoming bullish, because the only thing that exists on the TET Capital report would be the investor horizon bullishness. And therefore, we are bullish from there. Should trade our SL to BE because the whole bias, the whole action of the market basically reversed. Now, all in all, this trade is a BE trade because when you take partials around 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, 50% of the positions off, then your SL gets hit. Partials minus SL equals 0. So that's a BE trade right there. So therefore, that's what ended up happening for this AUD NZD trade. Now, looking back at the Euro USD trade, right there, this trade that ended up pushing through to the downside. Something that I really want to speak about right here as well is my stop loss placement. Okay, that's what I want to speak about. Because as you can see, I noticed these stops right there. And I told you guys, if you recall the video, that at 1.05250, these highs right there can get taken and the market will then run in my direction. So I placed my stop loss above these highs, anticipating that price might liquidate them and then push through to the downside. Now for the AUD USD trade, to be completely fair, it was just a very easy trade to take, no drawdown, just a simple push right here through to the downside, deep into my TP area, 1 to 3 immediately. I told you guys I'm not taking partials for this trade, and therefore 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio done for this trade. Nothing to really talk about right here. However, what I want to talk about is the fact that if I haven't placed my SL above these highs, so if I place my SL like that, what most people do is they would take a trade, for example, and then place their SLs above the most recent high. If I did that, that trade would have been a loss. If for AUD NZD I didn't take partials around this area, that trade would have been a loss. So I would have came to you today presenting an a Euro USD loss, an AUD NZD loss, and an AUD USD profitable trade with a win rate of 33.3%, basically. Now, because I managed those trades correctly, I got a BE trade, I got a profitable trade for Euro USD, and the AUD USD trade, which would have been profitable no matter what I did, because the market just simply, I took the trade and it just melted to the downside. So instead, I come to you today with a Euro USD profitable trade, an AUD NZD BE trade, and an AUD USD profitable trade. On these 3 trades, it's 100% win rate. So notice how my whole trading results changed just based off my stop loss placement and based of the area in which I am taking partials. And therefore, this is something really important that I like to highlight all the time. You can take just about any trading strategy and turn it profitable or make it more profitable if it's already profitable by just playing around with your trade management, by understanding what the market does usually when you take trades. And therefore, by understanding that, you start placing better partials area, better SL placement, better TP placement, all that, and that just increases your profitability tremendously just by playing around with your trade management. I just wanted to highlight this idea right here. Most of you guys, what you do is you just look for the better entry system. I'm entering here. If you lost that trade, what the majority of you would have done is, okay, I lost this trade, maybe because I entered here, so maybe a better choice would have been to enter right there at the maximum point, so at the liquidation of these double tops, and then I would have gotten a profitable trade. So the majority of you are stuck in this loop of looking always for the better entry system that will give you the maximum entry or the minimum entry if you're buying. However, reality is you can just stick to your entry if you have a whatever system, stick to your entry as it is and just play around with your trade management, your exits, your SL, your TP, your partials. When do you trail your SL to BE? If you just play around with those things, you can take your strategy and turn it profitable without having to look for that holy grail entry because it doesn't exist. No entry will always give you the maximum point or the minimum point or whatever it might be. And therefore, in my opinion, the path to profitability is not finding a golden trading system. It's finding an okay, possibly bad trading system, playing around with the trade management, and then making it a much better trading system by playing around with your risk management. I just wanted to highlight this idea for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.